seeking a mythical bow that will give him supreme power. King Hyperion and his army waste to Greece.
I will end the reign of the gods.
But a young stonemason, determined to revenge the death of his mother, rises up against the tyrant.
If there is one human who could lead them against Hyperion, it would be Theseus.
With the help of a beautiful oracle, he leads a small army to stop Hyperion from enslaving humanity in Immortals.
Sean, Liz, you've just seen it. Why don't you tell us about it?
So Immortals is an updated, stylistic version of Greek mythology. We have the story of Theseus. Anyone who remembers Theseus probably remembers the story of Theseus and the Minotaur, if you know your Greek mythology.
And the Labyrinth.
And the Labyrinth was visually extravagant and stunning, and I think it's a heck of a good time at the movies. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
I felt like the purpose of this film was to bring Greek mythological characters to life, and I didn't really feel the life in any of these characters. I felt like they were one-dimensional mythological characters throughout. There was no substance to the characterization, and I felt while watching through this film, I could walk away at any time.
Ooh, really?
Yeah.
I don't think you can walk away at any time. I think that this thing keeps you in it from start to finish. It's true that the characters are not fully fleshed out, three-dimensional characters that really, ponder their decisions, but it doesn't have to be. It's Greek mythology. You're supposed to have stories of good versus evil.
Shouldn't I feel for the struggles? Shouldn't I root for Theseus? He's supposed to be this noble man, but yet I don't feel anything for him.
You didn't root for Theseus?
No.
I rooted for Theseus.
He was like Captain America. He was just one-dimensional, perfect-looking man, very strong.
It invests itself in these characters. You root for Theseus over King Hyperion, played by Mickey Rourke, who's evil. He kills Theseus's mother, so it plays that revenge story out. But that's fun. That's the Greek myth. This is the type of movie that it is. It's an action movie.
And I agree, the action is awesome.
Very good.
And I'm not the audience for this film, but if I were the audience for this film, I'd have a really good time. Let's look at the performances. So we have Mickey Rourke, I'm a huge fan of Mickey Rourke. The Wrestler is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I thought in this movie he was low energy. And the character he was playing was cut and dry, evil. That's it.
What would I want with a traitor in my midst?
I can tell you of a village that lies unprotected, where you can gather young women.
I have plenty of women.
Slaves and weaponry.
I have plenty of weapons.
That was really hard to watch and hard to invest myself into.
I disagree again. Mickey Rourke, I think, is fantastic in this movie. It's true, he doesn't have weakness, as you would say, or there's nothing really in-depth about him. But again, it's an action film. You just want an antagonist to your hero. Right. You want someone who's larger than life. And in some ways, I thought Mickey Rourke's performance in this movie was a little bit more godlike than some of the young actors playing the gods, if that makes any sense. He is a larger-than-life presence.
I think there's one fun performance in this film, and I think it's Stephen Dorff. I've missed Stephen Dorff for so long.
So have I.
Right?
Yeah.
And I love Stephen Dorff, and I'll watch him in anything. And Stephen Dorff plays a sidekick to our protagonist, Theseus, and he's there for a few one-liners and a few charming remarks, and I think that's what the film needs.
Henry Cavill plays Theseus. He's a physical presence, he's an action presence. I don't think that he's that great in the dramatic scenes. He's a little bit stiff. Frida Pinto here, too, is just looking pretty for the most part. I think that the performances overall are adequate. They get the job done. The real star of this film is the director, Tarsem Singh. The visuals in this movie are absolutely fantastic. They're beautiful to look at, and people will be mesmerized by every image they see in this movie. Action movies these days are so dependent on this sort of fast-cutting style where we just cut in order to increase energy. Here we have choreographed fight sequences that are sometimes shown in a single shot. It's so nice to see that here, and he can direct both hyper-stylized and very gritty, realistic fight sequences. The climax of this movie, we intercut between a fight between the gods and the titans that's all slow motion and stylistic fighting. And then we have a fight between Theseus and Hyperion that's gritty, they sweat, they bleed.
They also have that synthetic look that Tarsem often goes for, but he's very big on shooting on location instead of constantly relying on CGI.
On the continuum of Greek mythology movies, from Clash of the Titans to 300. Where does this sit?
I think that this is the top of the heap right here. I mean, 300, I have to admit, I wasn't that big a fan of. I think this movie is considerably better than that movie.
Yeah, I didn't remember a lot of Greek mythology, and I was able to follow it, but I think that's because the plot is really thin. And I think the performances were pretty bad, but I thought the visuals were beautiful, so that's what was worth my while.
Let's take it to a vote.
Immortals is awesome if you don't need story development or character development. So I say stream it.
Immortals may not live forever, but you should see Tarsem's visuals on the big screen, and it's a rip-roaring good time. See it.
Well, that's 1.5 tickets for Immortals, which makes it a see it.
All right.
Cheers.
Cheers.
To that.